Welcome to the Luna Holistic Podcast. I'm your host, Geneva Robbins, and every month on this podcast, we'll talk about Reiki, as well as answering your questions on all things spiritual. We are gratefully located in Calgary in Treaty 7 territory. Thank you all and welcome to the show.
Welcome to the Luna Holistic Podcast. As you can tell, I am not Geneva. I'm Angela, and I have taken over the podcast for today.
Woohoo! Thank you.
My guest is my Reiki master, Geneva. Say hi, Geneva.
Hi, Angela. Thank you for saving me from myself and helping me do this work. Yay.
Of course. So the reason I am hosting today is because you recently had an experience where your channel has completely opened up. I find it so fascinating. So to begin with, if you can just describe what is channeling?
Yes. For me, it's connecting to source. So the beings of light, like angels and guides and spiritual mentors, ascended masters, I have this understanding that consciousness survives death. So any being that's in spirit can communicate with us. Channeling is in some ways like mediumship, where mediumship is connecting to past loved ones. Channeling is connecting to source and ascended masters and this sort of collective communal voice of sort of the consciousness of the all that is. Some people might call that God. That's a word that has friction for me. So I usually call it divine or divine team or source, that sort of thing. You can pick and choose what word you want to use. But basically, for me, it feels like translating. So the energy of the message comes through. And because I've practiced with Reiki, Reiki is designed to open your channel. It helps you channel energy, but the energy is also rich with information. And with time, you can decode it. And so I feel like I've just leveled up my decoder to make it faster. So I've been channeling by writing. So I'll ask questions, write them down, and just write down the answers. But that's pretty slow, especially if you have somebody sitting in front of you. They got to wait for you to write it all out. And so recently I've skipped the writing part and now I'm just speaking what they're saying more directly. So that's the big upgrade, is that it's just faster and more like a dialogue or a conversation.
Mm-hmm. It's so interesting. And so if you are open to sharing, what happened to allow your channel to open up as it has?
I really hope this is not like what everybody needs to go through to open up their channel, because I really feel like I'm a spiritual teacher first. I teach Reiki. I've been teaching for a long time. So I always think like, how could I teach people to do this, to do what I'm doing? But so part of it is like I've been connecting for a long time. So that connection was already made. And then I gardened really hard and I may have pulled something in my neck that pulled something on my skull. That's what my physiotherapist thinks. It could be an inner ear infection. But anyway, I got a massive bout of vertigo that sort of gave me this different perspective on being able to observe my body movement and then the energy being like I could feel Reiki as this unmoving channel, and then notice my body trying to recalibrate, feeling all this extra movement in my inner ear. And so basically, I got vertigo. I still have vertigo. It's a lot better. But in that process, I couldn't write because it bounced my head too much and I would feel dizzy and sick. And so I had to start speak, in order to process the way I'd like to process. Because I couldn't write, I started speaking into my phone. And the guidance started coming through. So the channeling that I was always doing, instead of having to write it down, now I'm just speaking it. And so that's been the biggest jump. So then I practiced it with you and some other Luna staff just to test. I was like, ooh, I think I'm channeling now. I think the channel is opened. I feel like there's been a massive spiritual upgrade. Part of that with the vertigo experience was also another layer of healing around people pleasing and being comfortable with other people's discomfort. Because me, Geneva, I like to have people be comfortable, but the divine team just says it like it is. And that directness is not how I prefer to talk. And I always like to give people like, well, think about it. You can ponder. Maybe this is for you. Maybe it isn't. You can try it on for size. And they just say, here's the answer. Here's this. Here's that.
Mhm.
Um, so I had to become very comfortable with allowing people to be uncomfortable. And vertigo seemed to be this somewhat elegant way of like, I have to let people be uncomfortable. I can't jump in and fix or help because anytime I do anything in the slightest that's off alignment, if I just think about doing something that isn't aligned with my soul, I get dizzy. And that means I can't drive and I can't do many, many things. So it's like this fast, quick training and being very mindful, very present, and very aligned, and really saturating myself in this like deep, rigorous spiritual honesty.
Mm.
And so that's sort of what's helped it all like connect that last little bit so that it's faster. So yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. It's so fascinating. As you say, we've had a couple of channeling sessions. And to be fair, the questions I've asked are really big, big questions, but the responses are just huge and informative, and it all makes sense and just really has, in multiple ways, shifted how I see things or look at things. And it's also interesting because when you channel, your voice is different. Your intonation is different. Sometimes, as you have said before, you might struggle to find the appropriate word, but there's not a lot of ums and uhs and how normally we talk.
Mhm.
So just that alone is so interesting. Okay, so if you're ready and if your
Mhm.
team is willing, I do have a question. Now, just in regards to these questions, you have very graciously opened up to allow people to send questions in, and then you will answer them on a later podcast.
Mhm.
So, if anyone has a question and you would like the team to answer, just go to lunaholistic.com/podcast and drop your question there. I believe you said they could do it through voice or typing in the
Yeah,
question. And
we'll get
then,
that
yeah,
figured out.
okay,
We'll
yeah,
get
yeah,
that
yeah.
figured out. Yeah.
And then it'll
Mhm.
be added to the queue of questions for the team to answer.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Before we jump into that, I
yes, of
just want to
course.
add a couple more things. So, the process that I go through to
Oh, of
channel,
course.
one thing that I would like to do, and I feel like the team is on board, is to do one on one channeling sessions and likely some group channeling sessions. So, when people will join online and then you can be live for that conversation. And then we just kind of go through the questions of the group that's present and you can ask fairly specific and personal questions, and you can also ask bigger, like spiritual questions. It's sort of like there's no topic that's off limits. It's all fair game, and they'll answer the way they answer. And I'm willing to kind of go and be there and facilitate that. For me, so the process is like I only connect to the highest, and that's across
Mm.
all of the work that I do. The reason that I love Reiki so much is that it's such a stable and pure high vibration frequency, and it never changes. So the Reiki symbols themselves hold a really strong, pure energy that comes from the universe. And and it it is like a pillar that we can lean on, and so I bring in Reiki as part of the channeling process. So I'll be doing that now, like before we jump into the session. So I thought I'd let everybody
Okay.
know that there will be Reiki happening. So you may want to be grounded if you're a very highly sensitive person. It might feel a lot like like listening to a meditation when I talk. So maybe you want to be driving, maybe you don't. So we'll put that out there. But then the beings are like just the most loving, kind beings, all speaking through me. So the answers tend to be very good and great, but I always believe you're your own spiritual authority. So really just take the bits that resonate with you, and then you can curiously ponder any that don't. You don't have to, like, I really, really don't want you to just believe everything that comes through the channel because it comes through the channel. I am an interpreter. So I things could still be lost in translation. I might still be translating incorrectly. I feel like my accuracy is going up and I'm getting more language, but I want you to be safe and well and happy primarily. So that's kind of the backdrop of it. So I kind of take the question, I bring in Reiki, and then I sit myself down. So it's almost like I sit down in this observer seat, and then I let them just start talking. And and then it can be a dialogue. So thank you, Angela, for facilitating the conversation with you.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's all I
Mhm.
wanted to share about the general process. If people are feeling a little nervous about this whole thing, we're nice, they're nice, and it's safe. So,
Yes. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah,
mm.
I'm again, because this is so fascinating to me. I just want to jump in and ask all the questions and listen to what they have to say, their knowledge and their wisdom.
Okay.
Um, okay, so
Mhm.
I will ask the question and then you can go through your
Mhm.
process of what you need to do before they come in.
Let's drop in, and then you can ask a question.
Okay, sure,
So
of course,
it'll
of
be a
course.
lot easier.
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
so everyone listening, if you have it available to you, you can gently close your eyes and take a few deeper breaths, just connecting to the earth below you, that steadiness and grounded energy, and then noticing a big column of light descending from an infinite source to touch the top of your crown, flowing down through your body, through the Hara line and all the chakras down to your root. And just take a big sigh of relief into this anchored light and energy, letting it illuminate your whole body, your whole being, and shine through your aura. And we'll just set the intention that this channeling session is filled with the highest light, and that the answers are clear and beneficial for all. And I'll just bring in the Reiki. Thank you. We're all here. You may start.
Thank you so much. Okay, the question is, What is the most important information for a spiritual seeker to know?
This is a very lengthy answer, which has many, many parts, depending on what part of the journey the individual asking the question is, where they are in the route where they're asking from. Are they starting out the beginning of their exploration and seeking? Or are they well along the way, maybe many decades into their seeking, and still feeling like seek and you will find it is a statement of a rascal that is the answer is hidden at every turn? Where do we even begin to look for the spiritual within the complexity of the world you're living in, when there are so many disparate and conflicting sources of information about spirituality, about religious belief and dogma, about philosophical and scientific worldviews? All of this competing information, all vying for a place within each seeker's mind to be mulled over and understood. Where do we begin with all of that? What is the most important piece of information for anyone on this path of self discovery and illumination to know? There are many truths that appear and connect and are received throughout one's lifetime. There are a few central pillars that arrive regardless of the background or the religious affiliation or the scientific understanding that many people throughout the world and throughout history keep revolving back around. The primary concept of compassion and empathy is one that is very tricky. It is likely the most ascended and complex topics for a spiritual seeker to dig their teeth into. Compassion and understanding of another person's abilities and pain and suffering is at first a very challenging place to be, because it requires you to draw yourself out of your own self reference and place yourself into another person's worldview and understanding. That journey, for many of those who are listening right now, they've completed many lifetimes ago. They have gone to the space where they naturally understand and have quite exquisite and nuanced depth of feeling for another and the pain of the other and the pain of the collective. That lingering there too long in that outward focused space creates more disharmony within their being, because they've already mastered a fairly beginner concept in the understanding of the true arc of empathy and compassion. So, first, drawing yourself out of that egoic self reference to understand that others exist, that others are valuable, and their contribution and understanding is going to be unique to their own experience and their own perspectives and biases. Once that understanding is mastered, as many listeners have already mastered that concept, then the next stage is to still hold that compassionate outward gaze and return to that gentle ego that still exists and give it the same compassion and love and kindness. So, bringing the compassion and empathy back to one's own heart, one's own inner being, one's own inner child, that work needs to be completed for many seekers in this stage. So the external empathy and compassion, once that has some knowing, it needs to be balanced with internal compassion, that the individual that is holding compassion for others is also one of the beings they are holding compassion for. The next advanced concept is, if you are able to view the other and view yourself and view even parts within yourself, who is the one doing the viewing? Go to the place, even now, to the one who can view both at the same time. That reference point is more aligned with where we are speaking from our perspective and vantage point, where we can see the complexity of the inner being of the other and the complexity and inner being of you. And we can also view it from this third, for lack of better arrangement, third place or elsewhere place, not of place at all, but in the everything and the all and the interconnectedness that is capable of viewing you and the other as one thing, not two things, but connected and reciprocal and exchanging information and energy. Even two beings on completely separate sides of the planet who contact each other in no physical form, no email or message or internet connection is required. The connection between these individuals who have no conscious knowledge of each other, there is still a connection between these two individuals. They are still sending each other information, maybe only while they dream. They are connected on the same plane of understanding. And when you're on the same frequency of understanding, you can have complex and full communications. This is a much deeper, more complex and nuanced form of telepathic dialogue, of spiritual connection and connectedness. When you stop seeing where we are and where you are as separate places, that is another stage on your spiritual evolution. Then, beyond that, once that universal connection is anchored within your daily consciousness, and you start seeing that the universe is consciousness, the world, that physical, tangible world that you are living in is conscious. The matter that is what you are sitting on right now is also conscious. It is vibratory. The atoms in all objects are connected to this universal field of information and light. Once you have mastered that concept and are living there mostly in your day to day life, the next stage is again to go from the expanded to the concrete. Now, bringing that knowledge into the physical worldly actions, starting to make and create from that source energy and that pure inspiration, to leave behind any fetters of limiting beliefs or limiting self concepts, to come to what you need to make in this lifetime, which makes it, again, looping back to your question, what is the most essential thing for a seeker to know on their path? They need to know the general landscape of what seeking means. And that when you find it, where do you land? But both in the expansive whole and within the core of yourself, in the rhythms and gritty existence of physical life and enjoying all of it, all of it, even the difficult parts, even the painful parts, even the strife and separation, enjoying it because you can be part of the solution of it. And that is joyous and satisfying on a deep level that your soul remembers. And when you come back to the expansiveness and knowledge of your soul, it remembers why you are here, and it remembers that you've never lost your way and that you can never be off your path. You are always on it, even when you feel like you are lost in your phone, lost in food, lost in distraction and noise. Even when you feel lost, you cannot be off your path because you are there. So that is the path. In that moment, noise and confusion and addiction and longing and loneliness, that's the path. There you are. You're on a hard bit. Sometimes the path is easy and plain, and you just put one foot in front of the other. Sometimes you have to route find and navigate through a noise of confusion and the changing sea and landscape of the world. All are beautiful and joyous from our perspective, and all have value and beauty. All have pain, absolutely. Suffering, the pain and the suffering is where you hold your concept of yourself apart from the all. Some of it is also the pain of being in a concrete vehicle in this world, and that the body has signals that are unpleasing and uncomfortable at different stages of life. This is an unavoidable yet somehow necessary part of your physical existence. If you had no pain, no suffering, no death, you would become complacent like you were when you were before incarnated. Not complacent, but the motivation to ascend is highly heightened by the discomfort of being in a physical body. To feel yourself as separate, to temporarily forget your oneness, and to remember your oneness is the path of all seekers. You incarnate forgetting yourself, and your job is to know yourself and to know the complexity and depth, and also the simplicity, the beautiful present simplicity of yourself. You are a human being. You are a spirit. You are both. You are, in one moment, cutting vegetables in your kitchen counter. In another moment, you are deep in thought. In another moment, you are driving a car. They're all parts of a beautiful, interwoven, joyous existence.
Thank you so much. Wow. There was so many good things in there. That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so cool. This is
So,
me again.
yes, I was going to ask you, Geneva, how does that feel for you when you channel? Like, are you aware of what you're saying? Are you still there, or do they completely like just take over?
It's like I'm taking my seat in the auditorium. Like I'm sitting down with all of you, like my consciousness, me, Geneva. I feel like I sit in a seat kind of back in my mind. Like I just have to sit myself down, and it's more like I'm listening to what's being said, even though it's my voice that's doing the saying. It's like I'm listening to the messages and I'm just saying them. So it's a lot like I've never been a translator, but I would imagine it's like you've got a little thing in your ear and you're hearing one language and you're speaking another. That's the closest thing I can relate it to, except that they're speaking to me, thankfully, in English. So it's our at some point the translation from energy to English has already happened.
Mm,
And so the words arrive as English and I just say them. Sometimes it's like I can sometimes perceive the concept coming in that then gets placed into words or phrases. So there's sometimes where a concept will come in that is unexpected and it takes me a second to put words to it because they're going in a different direction than I expect. Like often
mhm,
they'll like the way I would answer that question is different than the way they answered it.
mhm,
Like it probably amounts to about the same thing where everything where it's like we're everywhere and nowhere. We're human beings, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Very, but
mhm,
it's like I don't have as much artistry, I feel. When they speak,
mm,
like they say it in really neat, intriguing ways.
mhm,
And I feel like I've probably had them pop through in Reiki, and there's times where it's like something just flows through me or an idea pops in that is an idea I didn't hold before that moment with that person, but it's cool. Yeah. What do you think about what they just said? And do we have time for another question or a small part? Small? I don't know what's a small answer for them. So,
like I said before, I have so many questions to ask. Um, their answer absolutely resonated. Um, for myself, I always have to sit with it for a while just to let it all sink in. But what
mhm.
really resonated was when they said essentially that even when we struggle or we're not feeling our best, that we're still on the path. That is
Mm,
the path because for myself, I've always viewed it as when I'm not in that grounded stillness, then I'm not on the path. If I'm
mm,
struggling or if I'm in anger or if I'm frustrated or just having a bad day, I frame it as, oh, I'm off my path.
mm.
But for them, again, to explain, no, that is still the path. I don't know. For me, that really just
Yeah,
gave me
it's
permission.
yeah.
It gave me permission to be okay with not feeling okay. And
Yeah,
that
and this
I,
gentle reframing of like, oh no, I've lost my way.
yeah,
It's like, well, maybe it feels uncomfortable because it feels uncomfortable is what it is. It's like you're in a place of discomfort.
yeah,
And in the moment, your actions aren't making you feel more comfortable. But the thought that is like, but you could make yourself more comfortable. You might not be in a place that is comfortable, but you could go from extreme discomfort to just moderate discomfort. Like, can you make yourself slightly more comfortable right now? And if you can, do it. And if you can't, that's okay. Right? So sometimes there's moments in life that are just uncomfortable. Somebody you love dies. That's going to be uncomfortable for a very long time. And there's no getting around it. There's no avoiding that the immensity of that pain. If you've stubbed your toe, it's going to hurt until it stops hurting. Like there's no positive thought thinking that's going to make it stop hurting before it's time, right? Like you can try and there's things that probably improve, like if we have an experience and we shame it or we try to rush it through or we try to
mhm,
suppress it, that all makes it worse, right? Like if we have a valid authentic feeling that we don't let ourselves feel, that makes it more uncomfortable. But if we let ourselves feel it and feel like it's it's safe to feel it. It doesn't, feeling this way doesn't make us bad. It just is. It's just part of it. Then it loosens things up. So then, like, that breath can come in, the energy can soften. And then it's like, oh, then how you approach those moments of discomfort become different. Like you're gentler in a way that is nourishing. I find that I've been finding that through this whole vertigo recovery process. They're like, sorry, this was the most efficient way to get you here. And they're like pointing out all of the positives that, like, see, you've like reorganized your workstation to be more ergonomic. You got a more comfortable chair. You started channeling out loud. Like, all of these things are positive moves forward that you needed. We're sorry that it had to come in this form, but you'll heal and you'll keep all of the goodies. And so part of it is like, okay, you said I'm going to heal. When when will I be able to manage one of the frequent storms that come through that blow the trees all around that make me disoriented? Like, I can't drive a car because I've got this inner ear thing. And they're like, when you're done with it. And I was like, so I have to be uncomfortable. I have these symptoms that are going to be here for some amount of time until they're not, or they might stay for a really long time. And I don't know, I'm in an uncertain place. So I think it's neat because I'm like, this was also something I needed to hear, which is like, you can't be off your path just because you can't drive a car right now. Your path is to not drive a car. It was like, how do we get you to ask for more rides, right? Like, what would it take for you to be in this situation? Like, I can see that. It's like, what would have it taken for you to stop caring about what other people think? Like, really stop caring about what other people think, still being compassionate, but to not take responsibility for what other people think, to not change what I'm saying because it might make you feel uncomfortable. And then, or make anybody feel uncomfortable. And then it means I don't channel, right? So that needed to, so the vertigo was their most elegant solution. But yeah.
And I think it's just, well, and I know we've talked about this before, it's that reframing and that not having that self-judgment again, like, oh, with you, like, oh, this isn't, because I know it was difficult for you. I mean, there was hospital visits and there was, it wasn't, I'm sure it wasn't fun, but rather than judging it as this negative experience and maybe falling into, I don't know if you did, but like
occasionally
potentially falling into that pity party. Why is this happening? Oh my gosh. And, but to reframe and see it as, like you said, this was just the way through that. Yeah, it was uncomfortable and still is uncomfortable and didn't feel great and wasn't fun, but there's this greater purpose. I think if we can take that position on all of our hardships and, like they said, just, that kindness, that self-compassion. Well, I know for me, it would just make things a lot smoother because, quite honestly, when I go into those uncomfortable feelings, the fear comes up. It's, oh my gosh, I'm going to be here forever. And again, like I said, oh my gosh, I'm off my path. And what am I doing? And there isn't a lot of self-compassion. There's a lot of judgment of self. So yeah, again, just, I just love it so much. Thank you so much, Geneva, for getting vertigo.
Thank you.
That is.
You're very welcome. It's I don't want to say it's working for me because I definitely want the vertigo to go away and to keep all the channeling bits. So so I'm just sort of pathfinding through that bit. But yeah, it's been very trippy. It's also been very cool in terms of like what your brain does automatically. Like a
Mm.
little tiny pebble, microscopic crystal hops out of its place in your inner ear. And then you go on a wild ride, and your brain automatically corrects for the perceived movement. So I just feel like I literally feel like I'm on a journey. I feel like I'm moving all of the time, even when I'm not, which is a little bit disconcerting, but it's wild. It's like, so I do my best when I lean in with fascination and curiosity instead
Mm.
of despair. But every once in a while, kind of every time it's like, oh, it's been another week, it's been another week, it's been another week. I kind of like, I feel like, oh, this has been a really long time. And I have things I want to do.
Mm.
Just so, and I have to greatly modify or get other people to do those things for me, which is also a big part of the lesson, which is like asking for help and being okay with the discomfort it causes others. Like it does, it puts other people out. Like they'd prefer it if I was better. But oh
Mm.
well, like it's just, if it makes other people uncomfortable, that's okay. It's like discomfort is growth. So
Mm.
that's what I've been finding is like I am getting more comfortable with the discomfort in others that is associated with growth,
Oh, no.
and getting into a gentle space overall with all of it. But yeah, I just want to keep going and going and going, but I know that we'll have to probably pause here and do some segments.
Well, again, I could be here all day asking questions. However, I think we should pause here. I know you, like we talked about before, are open for anyone listening to go again to lunaholistic.com/podcast to write out their question or to ask their question. And so we will have further podcasts where you do answer those questions, or like you said, having a live group session or whatever that looks like.
Mhm.
If you are listening and you like this and would like to see more content like this, of course, please like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you, Geneva. Thank you, the team. And
Mhm.
I look forward to asking more questions and, yeah, hearing more fascinating answers.
Yay. Me too. I'm on
Yeah.
board with wherever anybody wants to take this. So share this like mad with all of your spiritual seeking kinds of friends, because that will definitely help us make more of this content. So thank you,
Mhm.
everybody. Thank you, Angela.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Luna Holistic podcast. We're so grateful that you are here. If you've got a question, we'd love to hear from you. Go to lunaholistic.com/podcast and we'll answer you in an upcoming episode. Be sure to subscribe to our show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And also please rate, because you never know where your little 5 stars will go to shine light into somebody's heart today. So thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.